Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. And our first guest today is Doug Peterson with Get Priorities Straight. Doug Peterson, in addition to his background of coaching and mentoring, spent 5 years selling real estate. Over the
Five long years.
5 long years, yeah. Over the last 20, he's helped people align their financial goals and visions, both personally and professionally. He's founded Get Priorities Straight in 2018 to provide a program to help individuals and investors maximize their personal income and improve their ability to invest. Welcome to the show, Doug. Welcome back to the show, Doug.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Well, before we jump into the business at hand, let's talk about the quarantine life. What are you doing differently? What's a new hobby you've discovered, or perhaps a bad habit you've acquired since being stuck at home?
Now, you didn't prompt me on bad habits or anything. And I don't know if we have enough time.
There we go.
The wine cellar is getting low, but that's not a new one. Spending a lot more time with my wife, who's working here, definitely driving less, but I was already a virtual company. And I'm walking and cooking more. So I suppose cooking is keeping my weight on.
Keeping your weight on is providing balance of the force, right?
It's not easy to maintain this level of weight, I'm telling you.
Oh, funny. So I know we're tapping the wine cellar a little bit more, drinking some of the good stuff. Don't know if we'll be around tomorrow. So enjoy. So Doug, let's talk about real estate investing. What would you tell someone who is getting ready to invest?
The first thing really is to get your financial house in order. You know, to be an investor, you want to have a great credit score. You want to have enough reserves to run your household. If you have any frequent expenses, you need emergency funds. You need to work on your credit score. You know, running a household is really like running a business. And it's really as simple as money coming in, money going out. More needs to come in than go out. And we need to save some. And you need to do the same thing in a business. Both have to have good reserves. So if you want to start investing, have your financial house in order so you can get the best rates.
So having your house in order, that's really important. And once that happens, why don't you share with me like one quick tip for somebody right now to say, okay, let me change this to getting one step closer to having your house in order?
You know, if somebody wants to do it all on their own, there's a program that I use with my clients called YNAB. It stands for You Need a Budget. And the whole premise is every dollar gets a job and you decide where your money goes before you spend it. If you did that one thing and stuck with it, not just a snapshot in time, you'll make a big difference in your finances.
What's that called again?
Stands for You Need a Budget, YNAB.
Is that a website or web tool?
It's a financial budgeting software. And if anybody wants to send me a note, I can send them a link, or they can also just go on to YNAB or youneedabudget.com and you can get a free trial.
Yeah. Reach out to us. We'll make sure you get connected. So then my question is, what is your experience in real estate investing?
Well, I did a terrible job. I began investing in my early 20s. I was in the real estate boom about 1976-ish. I bought a house, made $15,000 in 10 months, sold it. Had I kept that house, I'd be cash flowing positive for 40 years, at least $30,000 to $40,000 a year.
Wow.
But I went for the quick hit. So investing is a long-term hit. I also acquired 3 houses that needed to be moved to a different location. Got them really cheap, spent a lot of money, didn't make any money, but I spent a lot of time. So I did a terrible job early on.
Well, that's how you learn.
Well, I also did it by myself. I didn't engage professionals. And had I to do over, one of them would have told me, don't do that deal. The other would have said, why are you selling?
Right.
This is the cash cow.
That's exactly right. Most people complain about real estate investing, and really the answer has always been you lose money when you sell, right? It's no longer an investment. Then it's just cash out. And but you can never lose money if you never sell.
Well, so one thing that also helps is, we have a house with a basement. I'm cash flowing positive $26,000 a year just renting out my basement.
Oh, nice. So, Doug, what's the most creative thing you've done to come up with a down payment?
Well, again, early on, I was doing fun stuff and doing pretty good. So I bought a really expensive ski boat with a 200-horse outboard. Then I wanted to buy a house, and I used it as part of my earnest money and partial down payment written into the real estate contract that if I didn't sell it, they got the boat. And if I did sell it, I get cash.
That is pretty creative.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Brian, have you ever done that, or has any of your clients ever used?
Oh yeah, I've had clients. My most interesting one was a buyer whose down payment was stock in a clam farm. Ivor would have been happy. So yeah, and I wrote it. It's like, okay, I'll write it. The seller didn't like that idea, didn't accept the offer, but it was definitely creative. Yeah.
They must have been being shellfish. Probably.
Yeah, they were being shellfish about the whole thing. Ooh, man. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So how do you suggest people start saving for a real estate investment, even maybe their first home?
Long-term real estate's been one of the best investments ever. And people don't manage their money proactively. It's just, most people look at the wake of their boat and see, wow, that was an expensive month. Or they say things like, we're making good money. How come we don't have more? So live within your means. Live like other people don't live, so you can live like other people don't live. And start setting aside money and set aside reserves.
Sounds a lot like Dave Ramsey there.
It is. It's really
it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a fundamental. It just doesn't change. If you will manage stuff and delay a little gratification so that you have cash, I don't know. You guys answer. How well does cash work in transactions versus people that don't have much?
Yeah, cash talks.
Cash talks. Yeah. Cash is king. And if you ever get into a market where things are on sale, like the stock market is now, you need cash. But real estate is one of the longest term. It'll have blips, but it's consistently gone up, and they're not making any more of it.
Yeah.
Well, I would say just really pay attention to where your money's going and manage your finances like it was a business, and you could have money to invest, whether it's your own home or a rental.
So right now, some of the investment gurus are talking about getting cheap money while it's available. A good credit score helps in that process. What are ways a buyer can increase their credit score?
Okay, so a lot of people don't understand what credit is. So let me just explain a credit score briefly, which is it's the way you manage debt. Really doesn't tell you if you can pay it back. It tells you how you've managed debt in the past. The three biggest factors are late payments, derogatory marks, and credit utilization. The first two are kind of tough to deal with if they're true. You could try to dispute them. But the credit utilization, most people don't realize even one card with a high balance is going to increase your utilization and could drop your score 50 to 100 points.
Oh, wow.
Even if you're a signer on someone else's card who has a high balance, it'll drop your score. So get off other people's cards is another way.
High balance thing. And that's over 30%, right? So if the card has a balance over 30%, that's when it starts to really ding you, right?
Yep. And it gets exponentially grows. And I've seen people with 103% utilization. They're over the limits.
Doug, how does somebody investigate their personal credit safely?
So two ways. One is Credit Karma. It's a free website, creditkarma.com. It's a good indicator. It's not 100%. The other is you can go to just Google, and again, people can send me notes if they want. I can send them resources. You can get a free credit report once a year, and it'll be a complete credit report. And that's the best way to see what all the marks are. But you can get a really good idea just by looking at Credit Karma. And it doesn't cause any credit hits, so it's not a negative.
Huh. All right. So if somebody does have a bad credit score, what do they do?
Well, again, you have to start looking at those factors and figure out if it's repairable. It can be up to 7 years before a derogatory or late payment goes off. But again, that credit utilization, let's say you have a lot of unsecured debt, but you have a 401k, you can borrow against your 401k, it then becomes a secured debt. It's probably at a much lower interest rate. You can borrow against IRAs, but make sure you look at the rules, because a Roth IRA, you can borrow the principal you put in up to 60 days. So you want to make sure you have a good strategy so that you don't get caught paying penalties.
Right.
But if you can move it from unsecured to secure, it'll shoot up within 4 weeks, 60 to 80 to 150 points, depending on your situation.
So you mentioned the 401k or the Roth for down payment. Are there other sources that you can think of?
Yeah, I would just say you look at what you can sell. What assets do you have that you're not using? If you have significant cash flow and you're making good money, you can borrow a HELOC against your existing house if you own a home. You could partner with people that have significant equity and want to get into real estate investing and have them put up some of the money and work out a deal. I mean, there's lots of creative ways to get into it. And it's not just, I have to do it all by myself. There's other people and other groups that want to get into real estate investing, both residential and commercial, that build groups. And the only one I would go with is the people that are doing it themselves and have their own skin in the game.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's off a couple of things that I think of with the down payment, the HELOC, also a reverse mortgage, is people can get themselves in trouble utilizing those forms of credit because they're not using the proper way. Doug, how do you help somebody in a situation that wants to invest, wants to utilize those funds, but also needs to be careful about maybe making a bad investment in over leveraging the borrow, whether it be from a Roth IRA, home equity line, or a reverse mortgage?
Okay. Well, again, the Roth IRA those were strategies to get from unsecured debt to secured debt to get your credit score up. Mm-hmm. Don't take anything I said as one fix-all. It's a staged event to increase credit scores, do some refinancing, get you in a better credit position. If you're investing, you've got to do the same thing a business does. You've got to figure out how long your run rate is, how long you can operate, what your costs are moving forward, both personally and professionally, so that you're not over-leveraged. I do not believe in over-leveraging at all. I'm a cash is king guy. I would rather wait an extra year and be safe and not lose my investment than get in a hurry and trying to make a quick buck.
Got it. So now, the question along the real estate, I know the answer to this question, but I want to hear it from your point of view, is why is real estate a good investment?
Over the last, I think, 100 years, real estate has consistently gone up. There's been blips. They're not making any more land. I'm in a house that it's going to date me a little bit, but it's gone up 5 times in value. Mm-hmm. And I didn't pay for the entire house. I'm paying interest on it, but much less interest than I'm paying on compared to the appreciation. So it's a math problem again. All you have to do is look historically, see what it's done. But just like the stock market, don't buy at retail and sell at wholesale when things go down. You have to be in for the long haul and plan accordingly so that that if there's a downturn in the economy, it'll turn around in a year or 2 or 3. That seems to be the pattern for the last 100 years.
So Doug, how can you help people get ready to invest?
So what my company does is helps people get their finances in order, both personally and professionally. And so it's really going from reacting to not only knowing where all your money is going all the time, real time, but projecting out what you're going to do and aligning what your priorities are with what you want to do financially. So you're not going to try to do them all at once. If you want to get into real estate investing or buy your first house, let's put off vacations. Let's put off putting a lot of extra money in investments. Let's put off saving for kids' college and get one and done. It'll be a lot faster than trying to do everything at once. It just depends on what's important to you as to how you create a plan. But the first thing is get not only all your finances so that you know exactly what it costs you, but so you and your spouse, if you're married or significant other, are on the same page.
Doug, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really informative. We appreciate it.
It's great to be back. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Doug.
All right. After the break, we're going to be welcoming Janice Bailey with Metamorphosis Coaching, she will be sharing with us what a life coach does and who hires them. Stay tuned. Come on back after this short break.